We laugh. We cry. We learn. But really, what doesn't kill you makes you better at managing clients and everyone. I'm Morgan Friedman, and this is Client Horror Stories.
Hey everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Client Horror Stories. Very excited to have today's honored guest, Steve Perry, with us. How are you doing today, Steve?
So good, Morgan. Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have you here. Now I have my coffee with some whiskey in hand. Let's jump right in. Tell everyone about your most intense client horror story.
Yeah, well, this one goes way back, but it's crazy. I remember it still almost 20 years later. So I was a couple years into my career as a young financial advisor, and was just scratching and clawing just to make my way and have a business that somewhat paid my bills. And the managing partner had come up to me and he said, "Hey, Steve, we've got this brand new guy, sharp young kid. He's got a very promising lead with a couple of executives that are, close to retirement, and they need some help. And obviously, he's too brand new to know how to help them. Will you go help him?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." Because for me, it's like, I'll split the comp on this, and
Totally.
could be a really nice case. So yeah, absolutely. So me and Jesse, we talk a little bit about it. The couple is a friend of his parents or something like that. And so we go over to their house, and they're super sweet. They're late 50s, early 60s. And we come over there and we kind of go through our spiel. After a while, you can tell, she's super into it, super sweet, engaging, and he's kind of like this, all right, what are you guys going to try to sell me here? Which I don't blame him. And so we get to kind of the end of the presentation, and it's like, all right, well, they have all of these retirement accounts. They've changed jobs like 10 times each during their got a 401k here and a 401k there, and really what they want help with is just collecting all of those and putting them in place, and then we can kind of build a plan around that. And so the homework from the meeting is they need to go find the latest statements that they can in the mail. This is again 20 years ago, where they're not online really yet. It's all still snail mail, and grab all those and put them all together, and then we can put a plan together. So that's the homework. And they're like, "Yep, we'll do that. It's going to take a little while, but we're going to do that." So me and Jesse, we leave, and I'm like, "Hey, this is your deal. Like, I'm the expert coming in here, expert at 2 years into the business, and you're the young buck. We're probably 40 years old combined." And so he goes,
in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, "Your job is to professionally follow up with them once a week, just to check in and see how they're doing, see if there's anything you can do to help." So, week 1 comes and goes, week 2 comes and goes, and I see Jesse in the hall at the office. I'm like, hey man, did you talk to them? They make any progress? And he's like, "Yeah, they're not really getting. They got a couple of them, but they're not getting them all together." All right. So a couple more weeks goes by, and I'm like, "Hey Jesse," I think I was having a slow month, so I'm like, I want this to go quicker. Like, can we get the? Well, turns out Jesse wanted it to go even quicker, because he started calling him every day, and I'm like, "I don't know if that's a great strategy, bro. Like, they're not able to find mail from the middle of nowhere and make progress day over day on this, and they're 2 executives. Like, they're helping run 2 different companies."
By the way, I want to pause on that for a minute and just observe on that, which is usually we think about, at least Americans like us, think about this go-getter spirit as a great thing. Yeah, follow up. Most people don't follow up and let things disappear. But you're calling out an interesting risk factor, which is too much of a good thing. It could be a bad thing. That, you want to follow up, but every single day it kind of drives the other person crazy, and it's impossible for the other person to keep up.
Yeah, totally. Totally. It's like, we are not, they may be the biggest opportunity in our world, but we're nothing for them right now. They got other things going on. And yeah,
Exactly.
so another week or so of that goes by, and then all of a sudden I get a phone call, and it's from the husband. His name's Ron. Ron goes, "Hey Steve, you were close, but no cigar. We're done. We're out. We're not working with you." And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, your little buddy over there crossed the line. And I'm like, all right, hold on. Look, can I call you back? He's like, you can call me back, but we're not working. So I go to find,
So,
yeah.
big question before we find out what the other financial advisor said. Were there any signs from the couple or from the financial advisor in any direction other than him being anxious, or did it all seem like smooth up until that point?
I was out of it. So I was like, I
Mm,
had let Jesse kind of handle the relationship, for whatever dumb reason, trusting that he had the emotional intelligence and like the ability to know how often to follow up and what to say. I mean, following up is hard, right, Morgan? It's like,
yeah,
how do you say the same thing over and over and over again?
over and over and
Right?
over again.
Yeah. So I was way too hands off on it. So yeah. But to that extent, it had been smooth from what I knew. So I go to
Right.
Jesse and I'm like, "Hey man, what'd you do? What happened? I just got this call from Ron." And Jesse goes, "I don't know. I just kept calling her office and just kept getting the runaround from the secretary." I'm like, "What? Something is not adding up here. Like I've been doing this work for a couple years. Like what is going on here?" So I call Ron back. I'm like, "Sir, I don't quite understand what happened here, but like, I'm sorry." And he's like, "Look, your little buddy over there, Jesse, he would call my wife's office, Charlene, every day. And every day the receptionist would answer the phone and they would take a message and they would give it to Charlene. Well, this last time, Jesse was like, 'You're not giving the messages to Charlene.' And the receptionist was like, 'Well, of course I am.' He's like, 'No, because if you were, she would have called me back by now. And so you need to do a better job
Ooh.
of your job, there. In fact, maybe I'll just come in there and talk to her myself." And he's like, the receptionist is like, "No, sir, you're not a welcome here in our office."
Ooh.
So he's telling me this, and I'm
And you're
like,
cringing
just
as a
cringing,
parent.
like crawling in my skin.
So,
Uh,
but by the way, before we hear what happens next, let's analyze a bit why that is so cringeworthy, because people 20 years younger than us may have an instinct for it, but may not really understand it. First observation I want to make is you never really know like the relationship between the people you're talking to on the other side. Like could be the secretary, but also like they could be best friends,
yeah.
for example. And then I also want to point out there's this classic sales technique that the other financial advisor never learned, which is basically the way to get an executive is through the secretary. Like the secretary is the one that filters everything. And as the filter, you never want to like tell them off. You in fact want to become their best friend. You want to just buy the secretary flowers and charm them, because then the secretary will be saying good things to the boss. And this guy did the exact opposite.
Yeah, you nailed it. Right. Like that's the classic. Like you befriend the gatekeeper.
Oh, good. I like that word, the gatekeeper. That's the abstracted out version of that. Befriend the gatekeeper, and like young little financial analyst wasn't sophisticated enough to just view the gatekeeper as the person. Your job is supposed to lift up the gate, and you're not lifting up the gate.
100%. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, cringeworthy, right? Just sitting there like I don't even know what to say. Fortunately, Ron spoke next. What your little buddy Jesse over there doesn't know is that the receptionist is our daughter.
No.
And
You're just saying a moment ago, like, oh, maybe they're friends, but this is even worse.
literally their daughter.
Even worse.
And I'm like, wow, Ron, I I don't even know what to say other than I'm so sorry. And like I don't blame you for a second. I wouldn't expect you to work with us after that whatsoever. I appreciate you letting me know what happened, though. Thank you, sir.
By the way, let's analyze for a second before continuing with the story the intensity. I love this like build up of it being a daughter. We're saying a moment ago, okay, you want to befriend the gatekeeper, but here it's so much more extreme. This is like really shows you can be really intimate like mother daughter, and you also never really know what conversations are happening on the backside. Like the financial analyst thought, yeah, just passing on the message or not, when really it's like dinner time conversation. And like, just imagine the dinner time family conversations.
Right.
Dude, this annoying guy called again.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. It's I can't even begin to unpack all of the like cringe. I mean, cringe is like the only word for it. I don't even think we said cringe back then. That was it for sure.
You know, that is a good point. I hadn't realized that cringe is a more modern word.
It described what we felt. And this is probably why it was come up with too.
Yeah, actually, by the way, I hadn't realized that cringe is a newer word, but what I had realized is only in the early 2000s did the genre of comedy, cringe comedy, appear. And it's my favorite type of comedy, like Larry David, like saying things that make you cringe, and it's hysterically funny, but like there is no word for cringe comedy,
Huh.
like when
like
in the 80s and in the 80s and 90s.
Is that like The Office too? Like Steve Carell?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's the sort of comedy where it's like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. No, you did it.
My wife is like, I can't. She's like, I can't watch The Office. Like, it makes me so anxious. Just like that man. I can't even do it.
No. With cringe comedy, it goes to one of the two extremes. Either like you love it and you think it's the funniest thing ever. That's in my camp, or it's like your wife, where it's like so painful you can't even watch it.
Yeah. This is too much information about me, but like whenever I fly on an airplane, like I'll watch, I don't watch a lot of movies, but like so on the airplane I'll watch whatever the new cool movie. I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted to see that, so I'll watch that, and they're always 3 hours. Like the plane ride is always 3 hours long, so it'll get over, and I've got like this awkward 40 minutes left, and so I'll play like the blackjack game for about 4 minutes, and I'm like, I can't play this anymore. And so then I'll turn off the Office. So like I'll watch old Office episodes, 3 of them to end every flight.
that is, I like that you've turned that into a ritual for yourself. That's
it's like literally catching up on my my college days of watching The Office.
It was great to watch it in college, preparing you for adult life. That's
right.
A college education in and of itself.
What not to do. So yeah, so I go to Jesse, and there's not even any like reason to chew this kid out. Like, at this point, like we had been going on long enough. I knew he probably wasn't going to be long for the business. And so it was just like, hey buddy, I got bad news. We lost that deal. Like it's not going to work. He's like, oh, what happened? And I'm like, well, you happened. Like, I mean, it was his daughter and you were like accusing of lying basically. And he's like, well, I didn't know that. I didn't say that. And I'm like, it doesn't even matter if you said it, because that's what they think you said. Like,
exactly.
It doesn't even matter.
You made a really important point that I don't think has ever come up in an episode before. In every episode, I try to get at least one new lesson. And I think at least one of today's new lessons is this, because you just made a very powerful point, which is it doesn't even matter if you said it or not. And I just know so many people that are, and so many professionals that are obsessed with the truth and being right. No, this happened. This didn't happen. This was said. And at the end of the day, the truth of the situation truly doesn't matter in any way. All that matters is the perception and the emotional reaction that the other person had to the situation.
Yeah. It's like, perception is reality.
Perception. Oh, well said. You're a philosopher here.
Yeah. Well, that's way stolen. That I didn't come up with that. Lots of people. So here I am, right? Like I'm still new in the business too. Like I could have definitely used these guys as clients. Jesse's exiting the business, and I'm like, all right, what would be the right thing to do? And so, call it a last ditch effort, Morgan, or just call it trying to do the right thing. Probably a good combination of both. But the guy's
Mhm.
office, Ron's office, was not too far from mine. It was like 6-7 minutes down the road. So I was like, I, he doesn't want to see me. He doesn't want to talk to me. Like, he doesn't want to do anything. But I'm just gonna go humble myself. So I went down to his office, and I went to the lobby and I went to the receptionist. And I'm like, hey, and I'm not knowing if this one's his daughter too. And I'm like,
I hate you.
yeah, right. She's like, who are you here to see? I'm like, I'm here to see Ron. And she's like, do you have an appointment? I'm like, I definitely don't have an appointment. And he probably doesn't want to see me. You'll probably go tell him who's here, and he'll be like, yeah, I'm not coming out there. But I literally just want to apologize to him, man to man. And she's like, wow, okay. And so, I'd never been there before. I didn't really know where his office was. And it was right like back there. Like I could see him then through the window. So she gets up, she goes back there, opens the door, and you see him like, oh, who's here? And she's like, you can see like mouth like Steve Perry. And he kind of looks at me and, looks down, and he's like, nah. And so she comes back and she's like, hey, he said maybe he'll get to you if he has time. And I'm like, that's fine. So I sat there, and I probably sat there, I'm not going to drag it out and say it was hours, but it was probably a good 30 or 40 minutes. I didn't have a time that I was going to sit there, Morgan, but like I sat there. And about 40 minutes later, he comes out and he's like, basically like, what do you want? And I'm like, Ron, there's nothing I can say to you. Like, I'm not here asking for your business, but man to man, like, I just want to apologize. Like, that was wrong of us. Jesse and me were together. Like that was wrong of us, and you don't deserve to be treated like that. You guys are amazing people. You didn't deserve that. So I just want to apologize, man to man. And he goes, okay, thanks. And that was it. So I left, kind of like, all right, I did the right thing. About a week later, you know how you get like the email and then it's got like, the first few words and you see the person's name and you're like, oh no. So, I see Ron and then like, the first few lines of the email, I'm like, what else? Like, I'm not getting the business. Like what worse could be this here? And he's like, hey, Steve, appreciate the way you handled this. We still really need the help. We don't know anyone else. And the way you handle yourself tells me you're the kind of guy that I want to work with. That other guy, he's not welcomed at our house. Fast forward, they became clients for many years. Even after I left being an advisor and moved into a leadership position, which, by the way, the business that they did with me qualified me to get promoted to partner in the firm. Ultimately, like just so many cool things. And years later, when I'd even moved out of state, they would call me and ask, my opinion and help on things. Like, just developed a great relationship. I know this is like horror stories and there was a lot of horror in it, but like there's a silver lining in that one as well.
So I think it's powerful how you're able to turn it around. And I think this is a great lesson in the power of humility and sincere apologies. And I don't know the sort of people you surround yourself with, but I surround myself with far too many people who will never apologize. Like if the existence of the universe depended on it, and and it's not even just saying the words "I'm sorry." It's like actually feeling it, and like you can tell from how you tell the story and the details. It wasn't just, oh, I want to get a detail. I'll make 10 cents. It was more, you actually felt terrible about what happened and your role in it. So I think that's an important lesson for everyone listening that is scared to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It doesn't always work out. It usually doesn't work out that way, but you can sleep better and I feel better at the end of the day.
That is a good point, that it usually doesn't work out that way. What I would interpret that in a few different ways, which is one point I would make is there's this deep question of who do you want to be? What kind of person are you? What kind of person do you want to be? And I think it's impossible to like always like have the perfect balance of apologizing exactly when you need to and not apologizing when you shouldn't. It's a fine line you can walk. So fundamentally you're gonna err on this side or you're gonna err on this side.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I think the strategic life and business question is, do you want to be the guy that errs on the side of not apologizing enough? Or do you want to be the guy that errs on the side on apologizing too much? And maybe because I'm secretly have aspirations to be a Canadian, I personally prefer the strategy of the Canadian I'm sorry and apologizing too much.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I mean,
In Canada, you like bump into someone and they're like buying you flowers to apologize, and you're like, I bumped into you.
I need to spend more time in Canada. I guess I've never noticed that. I got run out of Canada once.
You were run out of Canada.
I got run out of
What
Canada.
did you do in Canada? You have to share this micro story. You can't throw something like that out without details.
All right. In 60 seconds, one year I thought it'd be a great idea to drive from Seattle, well, really San Diego to Anchorage in January.
Oh.
And it's not a great idea. But
in January.
In January. So I got one of my crazy buddies to meet me in Seattle, and he actually had a boat that he had bought in Seattle. I was like, I need it towed up, so we'll go do it together. And I mean, we could make this long. It's an amazing story, but it's the best story I have in my life. I'll truncate it though. We're driving a Cadillac Escalade through Canada in the middle of January with a bright yellow boat and a spare set of tires with 24-inch rims sitting in the boat. Just going down the highway in Canada. And it is 40 below zero, Morgan. And we've been driving all day, hadn't seen a soul all day. And we get to this part of the road where it's like this big hill that goes down. And then, you're kind of going into this town.
Right.
My buddy hits the brakes, and we hadn't touched the brakes for like 4 hours. And as soon as he hit them, they froze. They locked up, and the car, like all 4 tires locked up. We got this trailer, and we're going down the road, and all of a sudden we start swerving. We're going down the hill, and then the trailer jackknifes. I'm looking out. The boat is backwards next to me. I look over at my buddy. He's like, I'm sorry about this, Steve. He's driving my car. And so we go in the ditch, and we go backwards in the ditch, and the boat shoots off backwards off the trailer way down into like this ravine with the 24-inch rims sitting in it. And we're in the middle of nowhere, Watson Lake, Canada. And it's now 50 below zero. I mean, crazy things. The first car that comes is like this appliance repairman. I'm freezing to death. I didn't have like really good gear. So I go into the car, and the appliance repairman comes out. He's got a dog in the seat next to him. The dog bites me while I'm in there. Like, just like the randomest stuff. It takes us 2 days to find somebody who can tow the boat out of the ditch. And there were 2 tow truck companies, one on one side of town, one on the other side of town. We go to the first one. They're like, no, we're not going to do it for you. So we're like, all right, we'll go to the other one. We go to the other one. We go back and forth. We meet him out there. By the time we meet him out there, the boat was gone. And
no.
we're like, what the heck? And we're like, I bet the first company, I bet they came and took the boat. And so we go to the edge of town, and there are tow truck companies there. And we see it. Sure enough, the boat's right there, sitting in their yard. And so my buddy backs up to it, and we put the winch on, and we load the boat up and like point the car ready to go. And then we go in to go talk to them, and we're like, hey, you got our boat? They're like, yeah, we did. We got your boat. And I'm like, well, we probably owe you some money. And they're like, yeah, you do. And he pull out the bill, and he's like, all right, this and this, and we had to go across state lines, and we needed a flag. It's $2,000. And my buddy looks at me. He's like, I got $500. How much you got? I'm like, I got $100. And just then he had like 4 of his tow truck men, which were all giant 6'6" Canadian dudes that were sitting there watching TV. You kind of see them over their shoulder. They stand up, and they kind of come walking towards behind us. And Nate looks at me, and I look at him, and we take the money we have. We throw it on the counter. We run out of there, jump in the car, don't look back, and take off and scream out of town. We literally didn't turn around until we hit the U.S.-Canadian border.
Wow.
It was wild.
That is an incredible story. I'm so happy we got to that.
Totally off topic.
Totally off topic, but actually I'm going to tie it back in, because I actually think that story in an interesting way brings out a really important client horror story, like client management lesson. If I understood the story correctly, it sounds like the first company that you spoke to told you that they're not going to tow it, but then went and did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So what's interesting about that is I've seen that same sort of pattern so much, especially in professional services, where it's like where you talk to someone about doing things. It happens to me all the time. I work with a lot of freelancers, and I'll talk to this like freelance software developer I work a lot with about doing this WordPress page, doing this, and he just complains, no, it's going to be so annoying. We can't do it like this. No, you're like, okay, whatever. He's not going to do it, and then like 3 days later, he's like, Morgan, I did it all. And I'm like, you did what? And he's like, that WordPress plugin to do this. I'm like, I never gave you the the authorization. We never even discussed how many hours of work it would be. He just got so into it. He just went and did it. And incredibly, I've seen this sort of situation so much, where there's this type of person that works, that it sounds like the people that run this tow truck company are like that even if they might be like, let's say, be resistant or negative at first, they're a doer, and they want to get it done, and they also want to do the right thing, whether it's like fixing the WordPress problem or getting the boat that's crashed out of there. They want to do the right thing, so they'll be resistant, but then they will go do it. But what's interesting is doing that, while like we understand their good intention, like they're a doer, they want to do it, and they just naturally are skeptical at first. Okay, some people are skeptical but doers. The problem, or the client risk of doing that, is you don't discuss the budget beforehand, you don't discuss the terms beforehand, so that leads to problems like a $2,000 bill when you only have $600 on you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I've seen that a lot. That's a great point. Like, that transcends industries for sure.
It transcends industries, and I think it makes a very important point in preventing client horror stories, that a little bit of communication, a little bit of preparation before the thing, a little bit of expectation setting goes so far towards solving client problems. Note that their good intentions doing it led to two different problems. Not only did they expect $2,000 but only got $600, but also you went to the other company, and like it created a whole other issue where you had promised this other company to tow it, and you couldn't keep the promise to them because it wasn't there. So the other company got nothing out of their attempts to try to help you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not just them. There's a whole world out there that the butterfly effect will create ripples for.
Yeah, that is right. And I think a meta lesson here is, anything bad that happens in your life, we can always learn a lesson from it, and especially a lesson about how to interact and deal with other people, so we can all improve over time.
Yes. Yeah.
And with that, that is a beautiful and elegant way to end this podcast episode. Steve, it's been so much fun. Great story, great lessons, and like a new unique lesson from the core story. And then we got like the extra bonus,
the Canadian story,
which we actually got a client management, a client horror story lesson from that. It's been wonderful talking to you and getting to know you. Thank you for the stories, and everyone who's made it to the end of the podcast, thank you for watching. And we hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed this conversation as well. Good night, everyone.